That's only the pilot episode. It is what it is. Um, but that's basically what it is. There is a story there, but it's a game we made in a couple of months while I was homeless, so difficult. I think one of the other people working on it was living like sleeping on a couch somewhere. Like it was made under difficult circumstances. But
Well,
yeah,
I didn't I hadn't heard of it until up until now, and I'm looking back. It says 2018 here. So, did you go like right back to back from this straight into Adios?
yeah, yeah.
Okay, right away. Okay.
There was I think we released it on Itch in March. I had my heart surgery from crunch on that game. Never crunch, it's bad for you. But I crunched on that and just freelance work trying to keep some roof over my head. Worked like I ended up working 20 hours a day for like 2 weeks or some shit. Um, crunch nearly killed me. Had to get heart surgery. Then we did a Steam release in September and tried to figure out what to do next. And I eventually decided, I don't ever want to work this much again. I don't want to end up in the hospital again. So I set up a new
Yeah,
team
no shit.
Yeah,
and decided
yeah. No, just
I
that fucking
basically
sucks, man. I didn't
yeah.
realize like how much you've been through here. That's
Oh, there's
damn.
there's a lot. There's a lot. But yeah, I was like, I want to set up a team where I can ensure that the schedule is really relaxed and I can ensure no one's crunching and like the buck stops with me. So I created
Mm-hmm.
a team and like I put in our like paperwork from whenever anyone joins. It's like, yeah, hey, if you're forcing other people to crunch or if you're, bigoted or whatever, we can fire you. Like I made sure that like this is like Mischief is a studio where everyone is protected. Everyone is safe. No one can be if anyone works on a game that I've directed and the work on the game like puts them in the hospital, I feel like I would have failed at some point. So
Yeah,
I'm trying
that's
to ensure a
correct.
place where that doesn't happen. Because I have friends who like, they work for these big AAA studios and they work really long and hard in their 20s and by their 30s they're like, I'm going to die. And it's like, yeah, you shouldn't though. Like if you love doing this thing, you shouldn't be in a situation that makes you be like that. So
You see
I'm
that a
trying to
lot in
create
our line of work as well. It's really like
yeah,
dramatic.
yeah, no one should have to suffer through that. Like people should be able to work on the thing they love in a healthy way. And so
Mm-hmm.
like um on on Mischief, Cameron is a wonderful hard worker. He's my co-owner in the company, but he sometimes just will end up working on the weekend or working like super late at night. So, I sneakily bought him a copy of Neo 2 for his birthday, allegedly. And then he started playing that and went back to like normal, healthy work hours because he was wanting to play Neo 2. And it's like, see, if I have to trick you into taking care of yourself, I'll fucking do it, because it's team health is the most important thing. I would rather make a game that's not perfect on launch, because we can patch whenever. I would rather make a game that's not perfect on launch because our team worked like 35 to 40 hours a week than have a game that's like Naughty Dog level of, oh, we
Mm-hmm.
have a, 98 on Metacritic with the most critically acclaimed video game of all time, blah, blah, blah. I don't care if there's human sacrifice required to get there. Like, human sacrifice should never be required to make a game. So,
Yeah, like you put that
um,
game out, but people are like sleeping under their desks and shit.
Yeah, Naughty
Like
Dog
just
is
yeah,
a pretty prescient example of like, we could make the Metacritic go up by 1 if we took somebody's leg and ground it into the discs.
and
yeah.
I mean, and it's like, and it's the type of thing that you see, like, well, at least back in my day from, QA, however many years ago, like, uh, you would like with each department, with each position, at each team, internally, especially, you'd have people that would like show up to the job like pretty much like going, yes, I can deliver this. I'm look, I want to get into games, I want to build experience, I want to do all of this, and then I have a thing I'd like to build towards. I have a dream, a position, something creative I want to do, whatever it is. It's like the sight beyond what this current step is, and
Mhm.
they are excited about that type of thing. And you see the burnout that not only physically destroys you with crunch and everything and people getting sick and just like all the pressure, but it also like annihilates that ambition, and it kind of like puts you into a shell version where you're like, I'll show up and deliver what I can because this is as much energy as I have. And if you have that state of mind for, sometimes like 5-10 years, like you kind of just drop what else you wanted to do because it affects you permanently in like the worst possible way.
Oh yeah, I mean, I have like burnout has hit me so hard that there are days when I just can't think. You know, I
Hmm.
I have other issues like real health issues that have impacted me. I am, disabled, but discovering I had a congenital heart defect because I was working hard on a game I was really excited for, that changed some things fundamentally within me as a person. It made me go, okay, I have to make things healthier, right? Because I can't do this twice. I will die. And I don't want to die for this shit. Like, I'm here to make a lot of games. I can't do that if I'm dead, right?
That's a pretty
You
good
know,
reason.
right. And it's because you have people like, well, I can do it right now. I don't see the problem. It's like, well, that's the thing about burnout. Burnout sneaks up on you. It is a insidious process. You don't know it's happening until after you are permanently damaged by it. But there's also this thing, like a lot of bad people that I've like worked for over the years, right? Like I've done a lot of
Hmm.
consulting I can never talk about, right? And every time I see a unhealthy AAA team, it's because you have some guy who's, not always one guy. It's culture. It's, a ton of people in leadership. But there's always somebody who's like pushing everybody, and they're like, "Oh, this is how we're gonna get the best out of them, is if we make them desperate or whatever." No, no, no. Look at auteur theory. The whole key, like all these people, the Warren Spector thing. Like a lot of people, are like, "Oh, there's no such thing as auteurs in games." Blah blah blah. No, there are. Auteurs are real,
Hmm.
because the whole idea of auteur theory was like a bunch of French guys going, how is it that I can recognize a director's work compared to, when a lot of people work on a movie, why do I see that director? What makes them obvious to me?
Why
They
is it
were,
that you can look at a Kojima trailer and within 10 seconds go, this is a
He cut it.
Hideo Kojima game?
Hmm.
well, he does cut him himself, but even then, if somebody else cut it, you could still tell it's a Kojima game. Part of it is auteurs are good to work with. There are artistes, the guys who are like, I'm the prima donna, everyone should, do what I want, right? The guys who want yes men. That's like, I hate to say it, but that's part of the problem that George Lucas had, right? He surrounded himself with yes men, and we get the prequel trilogy.
Oh.
He still got a lot of good ideas, but part of the reason that the original trilogy was so good is he had a lot of people telling him no. Good, like actual auteurs are good to work with because people keep wanting to work with them. If you go look at Quentin Tarantino, right? Look how many times Samuel Jackson works with him. Part of the reason is Samuel L. Jackson likes working with Quentin Tarantino. When you look at Hideo Kojima, it's always Shinkawa doing mech designs with him. Martin Scorsese, I believe, had the same editor for like ever. Steven Spielberg has the same cinematographer until he retired, and then he got a new cinematographer and hasn't ever used, like, it's all Janusz Kaminski after Jurassic Park. Like
Hmm.
every
Hmm.
movie after that, it's all the same guy.
Curious
Because
how
when people are,
sorry, no,
oh sorry,
I'm just thinking there hasn't been any repeat talent across Quantic Dream games that I can think of.
mm,
Interesting.
it's kind of interesting. Yeah,
That is kind of
when
interesting.
when you create a working environment that is positive and healthy, people will keep working with you. And when that happens, you develop institutional knowledge, which is something that people like. I've heard guys at AAA studios say things like, it's good that we have burnout because it means we're always getting fresh voices and talent.
Oh my
That means you're
god.
never, yeah,
Oh,
that
oh,
means you're never
fuck
preserving
you.
institutional knowledge.
That means nobody knows what
Oh,
they're doing. It's everybody's
piece of
first
shit.
day
Well,
forever.
yes, yes. And so when a guy left Naughty Dog, there was a guy he'd been like a Bioware developer, and he got a chance to work at Naughty Dog, and he took it because Naughty Dog has incredible animations. He was an animator, and he really wanted to work there. So he did. Well, he quit on The Last of Us 2, and he did a Twitter thread where he talked about it, and he says the part of the problem is they just have like new people all the time, and he said a team of professionals would have shipped The Last of Us 2 like last year, and it's still not out at that point. He's like, and the reason is because basically everybody's juniors. And I mean, me as a game designer, like I can see this in like the level design,
Ugh.
the way that game has gone from like like the first game has a lot of like different encounters. The second game is like you're gonna see an object in the distance, and then you're gonna enter a building, and then you're gonna exit a building, and then you're closer to the object. And it does that I think 9 times during The Last of Us 2. Um, that kind of comes from like newer game designers who like watch YouTube videos on what makes for good video games, and then they just copy that a lot. I think that's what's happening there. Is that repeated like, and that makes the game boring, right? Like if you saw a movie where you did the exact same thing in every single scene, like every scene was like we go from A to B and there's like one thing that changes, that would be a boring movie, and it makes it a boring game.
Suicide Squad, literally. Like we walk
Yeah.
down a road and then we cut to us walking down the same road. Yeah.
Yeah.
I think
Yeah.
the best
So-
example of this that I can say from my consumer personal opinion
Mm-hmm.
is I used to absolutely adore Bioware. It was one of my favorite developers. And I played almost every single thing they put out from like, I want to say like 96 to like whenever Mass Effect 3 came out. And you could feel people leaving on every game. Every single game came out, you could feel that the staff had turned over, especially from ME1 to ME2, and especially from Dragon Age 1 to Dragon Age 2. Dragon Age 1 to Dragon Age 2 felt like the entire team just ran out the door.
Well, Dragon Age 2 is a little bit different just because they got pressured into making that, even though Dragon Age Origins was their best-selling BioWare game I think of all time at that point.
It was, yeah.
Management, as far as I know, was like Mass Effect is our real series and Dragon Age is like our side series, so they made them rush Dragon Age 2 out in I think 12
year.
months. Yeah,
Yep.
It was nothing. And when you have that time, it doesn't matter how good you are, it doesn't matter how experienced you are, it's not enough time to make a RPG. Like you just cannot make a game that big that fast. It's not possible. So I am forgiving of one of the worst video games I've ever played, Dragon Age 2, because you couldn't have made a better game in that time constraint. It's just not possible. But yeah, in general, totally agree. Like the lead writer on Mass Effect 1, I believe, went to work on the Old Republic, whereas,
Yeah,
Matt
it's
Walters took
Drew
over for
Karpyshyn, I want to say his name
Karpyshyn,
is.
I think.
Karpyshyn?
Yeah. And then Mac Walters took over, and that's Mass Effect 2 and 3, which have a more similar voice, I think, than Mass Effect 1, which is, the game I prefer. But, part of that's just different people and stuff. But the Naughty Dog guy, he said something really interesting, which was they basically tried to withhold my final paycheck until I signed a paper saying I wouldn't talk about this, which is illegal in California.
Jesus
So,
Christ.
He's like, I remind him it's illegal, and, so I'm out. So I would say that a sign of a healthy team, or at least a good creative, is a person who is working with the same people a lot, repeatedly. When you're building that healthy, and that's not always true. Like, sometimes there are people who are, say, abusers who are working with enablers, and they keep them around. Like, that's a thing. But for me, a big sign, and honestly, the best part about Audios, like seeing, fan feedback was really awesome. But a couple weeks ago, one of our modelers on Audios pinged me and was like, "Hey, when are we working on another game?" And I was like so excited by that, because that meant that despite COVID and despite, surgery and personal emergency issues and stuff that happened while we were making Audios, despite all this bad shit that was going on in the background, I still had I had several people actually that like, "Hey, can we come back and work with you on another game?"
Nah, bro, we gotta make it like orange juice. You just grab an orange, you squeeze it dry, you throw it out, and then you grab a fresh orange.
That would be the worst way to make a video game.
That
Oh
is
my god.
that analogy came to you very quickly and easily.
Just
It's a good analogy though. There are people like that. I think it's the worst way to be. Like, So for me with Mischief, the goal is like, we're gonna build that institutional knowledge. We're gonna have pros who teach people, how to make games. Like our new people are gonna learn how we make games. And hopefully we can maintain that knowledge. So even when seniors leave, they retire, they die, they, start their own studios, the team is the same. Like I think that's why Blizzard's changed, right? Like a lot of the people
Oh, they're
left,
all gone. They're all gone.
Yeah.
and now the Blizzard games just feel completely different. and part of that's also people hiring their fans. You should never hire your fans because your fans have an idea of what your game is that's not true.
I think the guy who is running WoW right now is like a old WoW fanatic from like the early aughts that ended up.
Sometimes that can work out super good. Like, don't get me wrong, but I generally am of the opinion you should never hire your fans.
So like I was
I
just
think-
yesterday talking about Yellow Brick, the new Mike Laidlaw studio that just opened up, and just kind of like I'm just like, at what point are we gonna have like more what I would call like life raft studios than like major ones, where it's just kind of like everyone who you knew and liked that was talented from this place said fuck this, I'm leaving, and now they're gonna make the things they want at this other place, with the right people. Like I feel
that's
like
what that's what happened with Bungie. Like I love Bungie. I mean, I also know, Pat, you've read my many takes on Destiny, so you know that my love for Bungie is complex. But
I have spent more hours in the past year complaining about Bungie than I have like playing Destiny in general.
oh god, yeah, that feels about right. But a lot of those people, they went off and they made a VR game. Like the guy who designed the Warthog, Marty, one of the like main artists, like a bunch of like really senior people that made Halo what Halo was, went off to do their own thing. There was V1 Interactive. They tried to make a hover bike first-person shooter, which was sadly not that great. But certain Life Raft studios don't. I like that analogy, by the way. That's a name at least for that, because that's what a lot of those seem to be. But some of those don't work out, and some of them do. I have no idea if that VR game they're making, Golem or whatever, is ever coming out, but it looks cool.
yeah, I mean,
but it's 'cause when you like working together with people, you want to keep working together with them, right?
well, if it leads to things like Supergiant and Respawn, like fuck yeah, you know what I mean? Like deploy all life rafts, like just do it, get together with the other people and make the things that are not fucking under the watchful eye of like the Bobby Koticks of the world,
Yeah.
but
Sadly, they're now under EA somehow, but they seem happier.
I just had a fun moment where I'm like, hey, let's just check. And I just typed in the phrase X Witcher devs into Google and got just a shit ton of results. Just a bunch of different games that are all listed as from former Cyberpunk or Witcher developers. There you go.
I remember somebody saying that there was a requirement that this is a joke, obviously, a requirement that all Kickstarter games had to have at least one ex-Bioshock dev on them.
Oh my god, it's like every single member of the BioShock team went and made their own studio. It felt like that anyway.
And there's a few really good studios out there too, which came out of that, which is fantastic, obviously, I think a lot about Looking Glass, a studio that made Thief, System Shock, these games that shaped how I view games. They went off to, one of them went and did the Dark Brotherhood side quest line in Oblivion, and then he did, I think he directed Fallout 3. You had another one who went off to do, he was like the sound guy. He went off and worked at Harmonix. Those really good 2K football games. Yeah, that was an AI guy from them. Seamus Blackley. He left. He did Jurassic Park Trespasser, which wasn't so great. But then he went and created the Xbox.
We don't. We do not shit talk Trespasser in this house.
Okay,
I do.
I'm glad. I think the game's really fucking cool. But even Seamus himself has said, okay, yeah, there are problems with that game. But
8
he was
buttons to pick up a gun. This is how we do it.
I think he was like 29 when he shipped that game. So like just absurdly young for a guy who's directing a AAA Jurassic Park game. But hey, I mean, he made the Xbox after that, so
Yeah,
I'll give him infinite forgiveness.